Hey, what's up, guys? This is Josh Thomas, aka DFS Up North, here today to talk to you guys about the showdown tonight between the Patriots and the Texans. An interesting game here. Patriots are coming in with a lot of illnesses on their defense. It looks like not too many offensive issues. We got some injuries to sort through, and then the Texans coming in, off a tough loss to the Ravens, coming in off their bye, and should be a good game today. I'm looking forward to it. Right now, it's in Texas, in Houston. It's a three. I think the Patriots are 3.5-point favorites. I would assume they cover that. I really like the Patriots here, and I'm kind of in on a Patriots on slot. So I'm going to talk to you guys about the game a little bit and how I see this going. Right. So we got total of 47, a spread of 3. So it's actually total's gone up, I think, a half a point here. And then we've got the spread at 3. So it's come down a little bit. Kind of looking at what I like for this game so far. It's a little bit tough. We need to wait on injuries, but over on DK, my captain pool is looking like Tom Brady, Deshaun Watson, Michelle, White, Fuller, and Patriots. I really like White here. I think that he makes the most sense at his price point. At 10-2, he lets you fit in pretty much anybody else that you want. So he's going to be a core play from here. Houston's not great at stopping the run, and they're particularly bad at stopping pass catching running backs. So I think that White really has an opportunity to get the highest score here. It's not a guarantee. He can absolutely zero if they give Michelle all this work, which they've been wanting to do in the past. But I think that White has a ceiling of around 25, 26, maybe even 27 points if he can somehow get over 100 yards. So I like what he does there at that price point. Kind of mix of Brady, Watson, about 50% each. Edelman, I think that, he's that 77 catches, 80 yards sort of range. If he gets a touchdown and over 100 yards, then I think that he's absolutely going to be probably the nuts captain. One point that I made about my captains here on DK was that Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady's going to have a game. He's going to be throwing a lot, right? He's going to be throwing 35, 40 times, looking for 2-3 touchdown passes and over 300 yards to get those bonuses, right? So if he's going to be the nuts captain, what has to happen on the other side of the ball for the game flow to benefit him, right? So I really think that today in your lineups, as difficult as it is to do, Brady with Watson is kind of that stack that I'm going to look for today. Because if Tom Brady's throwing 3 touchdown passes, then it's likely that Watson has to be involved pretty heavily as well and is able to move the ball against this defense. That's obviously pretty studly. You see that red 1 there. So I think that, like I said, if Brady's having a day, it's going to be likely that Watson's having a day as well. Again, I put the Patriots in here. I don't like playing defense in the captain spot, but Watson takes sacks. He throws picks. This defense is unreal. I think that you can play about 5% in the captain. If we switch over to FD for the MVPs, you'll see that with no clear-cut running backs and only the half-point PPR here, I'm really going to just kind of push my chips in on Brady and Watson. Leaning Brady, obviously. But I think that, Michelle could have a day. White could have a day. Hyde probably can't have a day. Duke Johnson, I really like as a flex play, right? But they're not like these stud running backs that we see kind of dominate here. Without having, with it being so difficult for a wide receiver to outscore a quarterback, and in a 47-point total game, we're expecting, 2-3 touchdowns aside. I really think that it's going to come down to the quarterbacks here. So I'm going to push all my chips in on FanDuel tonight. Go both of them in there. Talk about some of these other plays that I'm interested, some to highlight here. So Mohamed Sanu and Philip Dorsett are both questionable. Sanu's got an ankle injury. He's trending towards playing, I believe. Dorsett really concussion. I'm not going to mess with Philip Dorsett. We can check later here, but it's concussion. We've got N'Keal Harry. We got Jacoby Myers. I'm just not going to go there. Speaking of N'Keal Harry, he's one of my favorite plays tonight. I like the price point, $5,200 on DraftKings. He is, I don't want to open that. Let's see what we've got here. Only $8,000 on FanDuel, right? Okay. Definitely one of my favorite plays over there. I think that this secondary is brutal. I think Tom Brady should be able to pick them apart. We saw N'Keal Harry pulling that target in the red zone. I think that he's going to be without like a legitimate tight end. I think that N'Keal Harry makes a lot of sense as a target down there in the red zone. Big body, super athletic, get open. I really like him in that spot. Jacoby Myers, I think, is in play. I really only want to get exposure if Sanu is out. I think that, or if Dorsett is out, right? I think that if both of those guys are out, then we're definitely going to be looking to lock in some Jacoby Myers. If not, he's turd exposure, 5-10%. But now getting into a guy that I'm in love with, particularly on DraftKings today. So we need savings for those Tom Brady captain lineups, right? And if we need savings there, okay, if we want to get both quarterbacks, we've got to play some turds. Arguably, Duke Johnson is the best running back on this roster for the Texans. His yards per carry is ridiculous. Carlos Hyde is terrible. Carlos Hyde the last couple weeks has had one big run mask his inefficiency. So like last week, I believe he busted one off for 33 yards. The week before it was like 40. So he's got this big playability, right? But outside of that, he's getting like 1.5 yards per carry. So if we don't get a big bust out from Hyde, then he's going to be a dud, right? So he gets 10, 12 carries at 2 yards a carry. We're talking 25 yards. Unless he scores a touchdown, like we're in trouble here. Duke Johnson, meanwhile, can get involved in the passing game. He's electric when he touches the ball. At some point, Bill O'Brien's going to realize what he has here in Duke Johnson. And maybe that's tonight when they have to face a very difficult defense, that they try to utilize their better playmaker more than the guy who's just kind of pretty good running it straight ahead. So I'm definitely interested in Duke Johnson. And at $3,200 on DraftKings, it's so cheap. Like, that's as really for a productive player as cheap as it gets. So I'm going to have 25-30% of Duke. I'm really interested in him here. When we talk about the receivers on that end, right? How good is this secondary for the Pats? They're unreal. Okay. So I'm going to shy away from Stephon Gilmore. I know that the projection is pretty good here for DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is a stud. I really just think Stephon Gilmore is better. And I think that he holds him in check here. And I don't want to pay up the price for Hopkins in this matchup. Now I get that it's a contrarian GPP play. If you want to do that in some, I'm absolutely on board, especially on FanDuel, where I think he's going to go super underowned at his price. So there's a little bit of interest there, but really I want to play Will Fuller. I think that the matchup obviously is difficult as well. But Fuller has just been a beast regardless of matchup. Every week he's coming out. He's way cheaper. Definitely like him here. One thing you should know, Nick Folk not playing, right? He had an appendectomy. Kai Forbath, the Patriots signed him. He's in both player pools, I believe. So I always like the favorite kicker, even though he's on the road, they're indoors. Definitely interested in Forbath. Fairbairn, he can boom it and play him for the Texans. Trying to think if there's any other scenarios that we need to talk about. Again, try to flip a coin for the Houston tight ends. I don't think a tight end's going to score for them tonight. If you want to get some exposure, that's fine. Ben Watson, again, turd exposure here. If we look at the DS, one thing that I know that Geek talks about a lot, but I think that maybe people don't realize where it is fantasy points per dollar. All right. So what this does is takes, the fantasy points divided by the salary. So the best fantasy points per dollar on the slate tonight, okay, are Matt Lacoste, $600. Been down this road a million times before with this guy. Great athletic tight end. He can get a touchdown, one catch and a touchdown, or he can have 0 points. Like that's your basically those are your two scenarios for Lacoste. If you want to get some exposure, you can. But then we look, right? Duke Johnson, great floor play, or great fantasy points per dollar play. Kai Forbath, great play. James White, great play. Carlos Hyde, shitty play. He's terrible. But then we get Watson, Brady. So you can kind of see, like, when I'm talking about how I'm building my lineups, really I use this fantasy points per dollar here quite a bit to determine kind of where I'm at. Again, randomization, these showdowns, I've been pumping it all the way up. All right, so if I'm setting it up, I'm pumping it all the way. Let's just see before we go here what they're giving us, and we'll just click optimize. Oops, every time. Okay, I love Duke Johnson. I like Tom Brady. Boom, done. All right, let's see what they give us here for 20 lineups. Kind of see what we're at for captains. So just, again, running the DS dry, as I like to call it, right? is definitely a way to determine where the value is. So just running it dry, what I'm getting here is I'm getting Brady in 30%, Watson in 30%, Hyde in 10, Johnson in 10, White, Edelman, Hopkins, and Patriots. Let's see what these Duke Johnson lineups look like. So Duke Johnson, 4,800. You get Forbath, White, Edelman, Watson. I kind of really like that lineup. So if you want to get some Duke Johnson exposure, you can build stuff like this. Yeah, I definitely can get on board with that. So this one, Duke Johnson. I probably wouldn't have Johnson and Hyde together against this defense. But this looks like a contrarian Houston stack, right? So in our heads, we think that, yeah, I mean, my bias is that the Patriots are going to smash tonight, right? They're going to be over-owned in that spot. You always want to try to get more exposure to the team that you think is not going to be very good, right? We got to get past that bias and understand that this is a single game. Dolphins just pummeled the Eagles today. Did I think that was going to happen? No. In my heart of hearts, I was like, man, I got to play some Fitzpatrick today. I didn't. But yeah, definitely, there's that. Redskins beat the Panthers. Didn't think that was going to happen. Played a lot of Kyle Allen. That paid off. But CMC, not so much. DJ Moore, not so much, right? But yeah, you got to get exposure to that other side. That's why I had exposure to Geist today for the Redskins. I wanted exposure to that other side of the ball just in case I was wrong, right? So let's see what they gave us for flex. Who's my top flex play here? Again, giving me, so now I have 90% Brady. That's right in line with what I want, right? James White, 55 and 5. So 60%. That's pretty good, right? So now I would go back through maybe, set up, okay, I want these captains, right? So again, I wasn't on Duke Johnson for a captain, right? Ran it dry, looked at it. Now I can add it in my player pool. And definitely is somebody that I'm interested in because I look at the lineup construction and say, hey, this looks pretty good. You also, if you didn't know, you can sort your lineups by points, DFS Army points, fantasy points, which sometimes end up a little bit different, or by total projected ownership, right? We don't have projected ownership for Showdown, but when you're building lineups for the main slate, you can do that. So that's about all I got for today. Good luck tonight. Hit me up in any channels. The Texans win this game. Yeah, I like the Texans here. I think that's definitely a possibility. So, yeah, hit me up in the coaching channels, and we'll get this game on right, and hopefully win somebody a bunch of money tonight.